In this video, we're going to look at one of the ways of factoring difficult trinomials that I like to call guess and check. Sometimes it's called inspection. Okay. In order to be good at it, and I kind of really think this is a good method to do because when you practice a little bit, it becomes the fastest way of doing it, and you almost kind of get an intuition and can just do them right away. But it does take a little bit of practice, and we need to develop sort of a quick way to sort of FOIL. So let's look at how we FOIL this thing out. All right, so when we do it, we go firsts, outside, so I'm going to write it first there. First, outsides is going to give me positive 10x. Insides is going to give me plus 7x. And last is going to give me plus 35. All right, what makes these difficult is when we actually gather those like terms, we end up with 2x squared plus 17x plus 35. So imagine if we were to factor that trinomial that I have at the end. It's pretty easy for us to see where the 2 came from, 2 times 1. And it's easy for us to see where the 35 came from, 7 times 5. But what makes this tricky is it's hard to really see where that 17 comes from. So I'm just going to erase a few lines here. And let's look at a quick way of multiplying or doing some part of this process in our head. Okay, so we know that 2x times x gives us my first terms. We know that 7 times 5, the last terms, multiply out to the last term in our trinomial, which is 35. So a quick way of, or a way of doing it in our head of getting that middle term is to do the outside-inside part in our head. So the outsides multiply out to 10x, positive 10x. The insides multiply out to positive 7x. And when we combine them, outside plus inside, we end up with that middle term of 17x. All right, so this doesn't seem like a big deal, but when we're doing guess and check, it's all about really trying to quickly figure out what that middle term would be. Let's just do one more example, and I'll just do it on the side here. So let's say we've got, I'll move down. Okay, let's say, I'll just make something up, x minus 6, 2x plus 1. Okay, so let's say that we're FOILing that out. Quick way to do it is x times 2x is the first, so that's 2x squared. Okay, the last is going to be negative 6 times positive 1, so that's negative 6. To get that middle term, we're going to do outside, inside, and add them up. So outsides, x times positive 1 is positive 1x. Insides is negative 6 times 2x is negative 12x. And so when we add those up, we get negative 11. Okay. So when you guys are figuring out that middle term in your heads, try to do this in your heads. Look at those yellow numbers there and go positive 1x, negative 12x, and then add those together. All right, so when it comes to guess and checking then, let's use that kind of fast method of judging our middle term, or figuring out a middle term. Okay, so here when we're factoring it, I'm going to go ahead and write brackets out because we know it's going to look something like that if it's factorable. So the first step is we got to look at multiples of 8, or things that multiply out to 8. Well, 2 times 4 and 1 times 8. Okay, this one there's those two options, so it could be either one. We don't know which one yet. And step 2 is we're going to look at the last number, negative 15. I'm not going to worry about the negative. I'm just going to go 3 times 5 and 1 times 15. I'm going to look at the factors of 15. Okay, so when I'm doing guess and check, I don't write all of them down. I just kind of go for it and just sort of, usually kind of figure it out as I go along. Okay, so we've got the factors of the first and the factors of the last. So what we're going to do to guess and check is I'm going to guess that it's maybe 2x and 4x. Let's just go for that. Okay. All right. And now I have to then guess which combination of the things that multiply out to 15 are going to work. So let's try 3 times 5 first. Okay? So I don't know the order though, if 3 goes in the first bracket and 5 in the second one, or if it's the other way around. So let's just start with, I'm going to guess that it's the 5 goes there and the 3 goes there. So I'm just straight up guessing at the blue and the green that this is the winning combination. Okay? Now, when I'm checking to see if that's the actual winning combination, I don't know why these things here disappear like this. Step 2. And this was 2 times 4. Okay, so to judge whether or not this is the right combination, I don't have to check the firsts because I've chosen them specifically to work. So I don't have to check my first term. I know that it works. I don't have to check my last term of 5 times 3 because I've chosen those to work out. So it's really all about the middle term. So let's do our little quick check thing and go, I'm not going to even think about signs. I'm just going to go 6. That's what I get when I multiply those numbers. And 20. So will 6x and 20x ever add or subtract to 2? Well, 6 and 20. If you add them, you get 26. If you subtract them, like you'd get like 14. So that's not the combination. Okay? So what I got to do then is I have to switch those guys around. So it's 3 there and 5 there. And try it again and see if that's the way that it all fits together. So outsides is 10x, insides is 12x. 10 and 12, well 10 and 12, if you subtract them, you will get 2x. So that's what we're looking for when we get those two values, 10 and 12. We're trying to see, will we ever add or subtract to the middle coefficient that we're after. All right, so that's the winning combination. And now we just got to figure out the signs. So we know that it has to be positive 2x. So in order to add together, this one's got to be positive 12 and this one's got to be negative 10. So in order to be positive 12, it's got to be positive 3 times 4. And in order to be negative 10, it's going to be 2x times negative 5. So that is really all we're after. And we kind of we got it to work. Okay? So sometimes it'll take a little bit more checking, but that's the idea. All right. In the next one, let's start by seeing what we have to deal with for the first coefficient. So factors of 5 are 1 and 5. So what's great about prime numbers is there's only one way to multiply out to 5. So that's perfect. It's going to be 1x and 5x. And we don't have to think about it. We know for sure that's the winning combination. Check. Or the winning first term anyway. For the end, we got things that multiply out to 6, 2 times 3, and 1 times 6. Okay? All right, this time here, now I always find it works best when we kind of just, the first thing that pops into my head, I usually try that. So I think that might end up being the right combination here, but let's just try it. Let's try the 2 in this bracket and the 3 there. Again, all we're after is checking for the middle term because we chose the numbers to work. So 3x and 10x. 3x and 10x will never add or subtract to 17. Okay? So let's switch those guys around. Let's put the 3 first. Okay? So let's go 2x and 15x. Well, 2x and 15x, if you do add those, you will get 17. Okay? All right, so we know that we have to get negative 17, so we need it to be negative 2x and negative 15x, and the way to do that is subtraction. Okay? So we kind of found it. All right, in the last one, so this, if this way works for you, and you can kind of sort of, struggle through it at the beginning, as long as you have a decent times table knowledge, then it's not too bad. So the last example, we're going to do ourselves a favor, and before we just start going for it here, let's take out a common factor of 2. So that's going to be 6x squared plus 7x minus 10. All right, so now that we've kind of factored out the 2, it's kind of like a little factor tree, we can just bring the 2 down and really just focus on 6x squared plus 7x minus 10. Right? So, all right, I'm going to go over here and rewrite that because this is now what we're dealing with. All right, so things that multiply out to 6 are 2 times 3 and 1 times 6. And things that multiply out to 10 are 1 times 10 and 2 times 5. All right, so let's see if we can find the right combination for that. So I'm going to start by making my brackets out, and let's just try the 2 times 3. So 2x and 3x. All right, so that's what I'm guessing at, and let's guess at 1 times 10 and just see if that's the right combination. So I'm going to go 1 and 10. All right, so let's see if that will give me a 7 in the middle when I do my little check. So 20 and 3. So 20 and 3 will never add or subtract to 7. So let's switch those around. So that doesn't work. So let's try switching around. Put 10 in the first and 1 in the second. All right, so looking at the outsides now, we got 2x and 30x. That'll never give me 7, so it's not 1 times 10. Let's move on then to the 2 times the 5. So let's try going for that one. All right, so let's try 2 and 5. Outsides give me 10, insides give me 6. 10 and 6 will never add up or subtract to 7. So let's try the other way around. And let's put the 5 there, 2 there. So that outside and insides are going to give me 4 and 15. Okay, not going to give me 7. All right, so we've tried both of those. Second ones, we've tried both of these with the 2 times the 3, and neither of them worked. So that tells us that we're going to have to move on to the next set of numbers for the front. Okay, so let's go on to this one and hope that that works. So, all right, that gives me 1x and 6x. All right, let's try, this time let's try the 2 times 5. So it's 5 and 2, 2x and 30x. Okay, that doesn't give me 7. So let's try switching those things around. And 2 and 5, 5 and 12. Oh, wait a second, 5 and 12, if I subtract 12 minus 5, I will get 7. So I think I found the combination. Okay, it took a while. It always takes longer when you're kind of talking through it too. So I found the right combination of things that will give me a positive 7. I just have to now figure out how the signs go. All right, so the outsides multiply out to 5x and the insides give me 12x. I need it to be positive, so it's got to be positive 12. In order for me to get that, that's got to be a positive 2. And it's got to be negative 5, so that's going to be, the outsides would be x times negative 5. So there we go. We found it, and we were able to factor it. So now I'm going to go back to here and write x plus 2, 6x minus 5, just like a good old-fashioned factor tree. I've written this expression as a product of 3 factors. So that's the guess and check thing. When we're in class, if you kind of are leaning towards this or you think you can do it and you're still struggling, make sure you ask me lots of questions. I have lots of tips that are just too long for the video for you. Alrighty.